everyone, welcome back. This is Denise Love, and today I wanted to tell you about my latest book workshop. It's the third one in a series of 4, so fourth book workshop will be out next month. In this one, we focused on working with lovely fabrics on the covers. So this one's more about fresh and exciting covers for your journals using some fun fabric sources, maybe some ribbons, maybe some vintage fabrics that you've saved for something special. And this book workshop, because I've used some special things, is called Layered Legacies, Mixed Media Art Journal Bookmaking Workshop. Because I'm making these to be mixed media art journals for myself. You can make them for watercolor journals. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. And the first one that we make in there is this one with a really delicious sewn cover, which I'm using a basic zigzag stitch to make these, and you don't have to work with the sewing machine if you don't want. You can hand stitch your covers. You can glue your covers with one of the other options here. I just thought it would be really fun to do a completely different type of journal than we've done in Scrap to Treasure and artisanal journals. So this one we're actually still doing the varied papers, or at least I am. You can make these all watercolor paper. You can make them your favorite paper. I got some Two Rivers papers from Jackson Art Supplies that I'm going to make on a journal like this with all the really nice watercolor paper. But on this one, I have decided to do the different handmade papers and the watercolor paper. And then we actually sew these to the cover. And mine has 4 signatures all sewn in, and then different papers and interesting things in each section. And then I have a little snippet cut off that came from the cover that I thought, oh, lovely little bookmark or snippet piece that I can use on something else. And then in the back I've also put a snippet line of the cutoff from my piece. And what I like about this is now, you can put a few of your favorite pins and things in here that you like to work with and keep them handy in the back of your journal. So this is my favorite. I put a fun little button on the top and then glued a lovely little embellishment on it. And then this one's got a lovely ribbon closure that you can just wrap around the button. And these are just so gorgeous. Like, I love this book. And then we'll also be doing in this workshop one of our books with the cover that everything is glued together, so you don't have to do the sewing of the cover itself. And this one is really beautiful, and I've picked a vintage French fabric that I had in my stash that I was using as a photography cloth, and I loved it so much. Like, it's my favorite piece of fabric, so I'm like, yeah, this could be an art journal, and that'll be the life that this fabric was meant to have. And then lovely velvet ribbons here on the outside spine. Like, look at how gorgeous that book is. I mean, it's crazy beautiful. And I have a piece of artwork in here that ended up being the front cover, so I love that. It's already kind of done. And then this one is, there's the back side of that art. This one is all watercolor paper, so you can kind of do fun things in here with your different papers. And then the back is something that I could decorate. And then I've got the most beautiful little velvet ribbon that I can use as a closure. And right now I've left the ribbon nice and long so that as the book gets fatter and fatter, then I have plenty of ribbon. And then when I'm done with the book, I can trim the ribbon to fit the size that however fat it ends up being. So this is such a beautiful book. And then we also make a third little book where we use a fabric cover. We've got some little grommets here on the end. You can glue this, or it could be no sew. And I've got a pretty sorry ribbon kind of closing it up here. And then this has got some watercolor paper in it, just pretty fabric on the back side. This I did just use a zigzag stitch to stitch you know, all four sides, and then glued some pretty ribbons on it because I wanted to. It was pretty, and it's got just a lovely handmade watercolor paper in here, 2 signatures. And then this one, if you have one where you're like, oh, I've cut it too short, it doesn't cover the paper, I actually show you in this one how I fixed that when I mismeasured or miscalculated or whatever. I show you a solution to that too. And you know, I could just cut sections like that out or re-record things, but I want you to see, you know, if you make a oopsie, how you can think outside that box to fix the oopsie rather than get mad or discouraged or throw something away because it didn't work out the way you thought, or you did something off and you're like, uh-oh, I did it wrong. I want you to start thinking more creatively in how you can fix that or do whatever it is. And sometimes the oopsie makes the book even more gorgeous. Like, that is insanely beautiful and was such a good solution. So I want you to kind of see some of these things as, oh, so when you run across it, you're like, I'm gonna be creative and see how I can fix that. And then a lovely ribbon closure there. And then this was a vintage fabric that I've had for quite a long time. So I thought today that we would paint in one of these and just get it started. I might paint in this one, just get it started because I love it so much. And kind of just tell you about the new Layered Legacy bookmaking workshop. It's some similar techniques of what we're doing in Scrap to Treasure and artisanal journals, but we're getting really decorative and different with our covers. So I hope you check out that workshop, and I'm going to paint in one of these. So let me get my paints out and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have just opened my favorite. This one really is my favorite. You don't know how hard it was to keep under wraps after I made these because I love the fabric covers so much, and I had to wait till the workshops come out to even start using them. I love it so much. This book has a mix of like different blue handmade papers. I was kind of coordinating it a little bit, blues and browns and just some different things working in here, some natural papers. So I think what I'm going to do on this side is just paint something in an abstract in these inspired colors from this handmade paper, and then maybe a little bit of stenciling on top and maybe some abstract white flowers possibly, I don't know. And if we don't love it, just always keep in mind you can gesso over things and paint them again. And I say that because I know opening up an art journal and this being like your very first layout that you do is a little bit scary, and I get it. I'm a little bit scared too. Like, I don't want to mess it up, just like you don't want to mess it up. Why did I do that? So I'm right there with you. I don't want to mess it up either. But I don't want you to be scared of them. And if you are scared of working in your art journal, then paint a bunch of things and build your book around things that you already painted. That's another option. Okay, so I'm just putting out some Blick Matte Paint Brown and the Sage Blue, which is my favorite color, and it's kind of right there. And I'm kind of thinking, let me grab a Filbert, because I'm working with acrylic paint here. And it's my goal to have a whole series of these little wood palettes kind of painted, just fun artist painted palettes with different paint and stuff that I've done. And I've gessoed the top of that. It's just a wood palette. And I went ahead and gessoed the top of that so that the paint sat on top instead of soaked down into it. And I'm just going to go ahead and at least get started with the idea I had in my mind. And that's just white gesso that I'm mixing that with because I like the way the gesso makes the paint more spreadable and makes it kind of gritty. If I decide later to put something on top, I like that. And I've used white because I want the white combination in here, but you could use clear and it would do that too. And I'm using the white as also as kind of like my white paint. And it's so exciting actually once you make a book to actually start painting in it and then be able to then flip through all the layouts that you did. Cannot even describe how good that feels to be looking through and painting in a book that you created. And when you're all done, the book is the piece of art in addition to all the pieces inside. It's incredible. So if you've never tried making your own art journal, now's the time. This is your sign. You need to jump in and come and play and paint with us and make your own journal and see exactly how good this feels painting in a book that you made. All right, so I'm going to get my bowl scraper here and spread some paint around a little bit. And like I said, rather than, getting scared of your book and such, I want you to think of it as I can always paint over it. I can gesso over stuff. Nothing is permanent. I don't have to consider everything in my book as permanent. So if I don't love it, don't be afraid of it. You can paint over it again. Oh, yeah, that's what I want. Let's do that. I want these to kind of spread into each other some. And I want some more blue out there. Let me get a palette knife. I think a palette knife is what I want. There we go. I want some of this yumminess that we have going on here. I want that texture. And I'm just playing and experimenting with new techniques and just exploring. That's kind of what I treat these as. I'm exploring, I'm having some fun, I'm just trying not to think too hard about it. I don't want to get upset and get stuck, and every painting has an ugly phase. I don't want you to get caught up in the ugly phase and be like, oh, it's terrible, I did terrible, it's not like yours. Things like that. I want you to just get creative. And this is just a pencil, and I'm just going to drag it through the paint and see, let's get a few little marks in here while that paint is wet. All right, I think I'm going to let that dry for a second, and then I'll be able to do something on top of it. So I will be right back. All right, so now we've got mostly dry page. We'll call it 97% dry. And I've got my wood palette here. I just squished the paint around so that eventually I'll hopefully have some kind of pretty painted palette there. And I have this kind of lovely Moroccan tile, which I do not know where I got it. It says new decorative stencil, Moroccan. So I probably will not have a link for this, but there are other Moroccan tiles, stencils out there. So just kind of maybe hunt around. And I'm thinking maybe this gray in just a little tiny bit of a pattern. I don't want it to be like a ton of pattern. I want it to be kind of like a patio block, where you've got a garden and you've got the pretty blocks that you can see through. My grandmother used to have those in her garden. And I'm just kind of wanting to maybe imply a little bit of that. Let's just see what that looks like. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I want. But yeah, just as an extra something, an extra layer. I was going to do it in gold, and then I thought there's no gold on the other side, and I could add gold on the other side, but I don't want to always go to the same thing that I always go to. I want to, you know, something a little different sometimes. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I like that. And I wish there was one like right there coming in from that top. Maybe one right there. Oh yeah. I love it. I love it. Now, you know, when I start singing, I'm getting excited. Okay, maybe right here, coming off from that. Kind of give it an end point. Maybe right here, same thing, kind of coming in. Okay, I just wanted the implication of it, not really anything dramatic or per se. And then I think what I'm going to do is with the white paint, this is just the acrylic white paint, which I haven't opened. Decided since I liked all the matte paints so much that I would grab the big one of the Blick matte paint. And actually, you know what I might do is just dip my brush down into that paint, because really all I want to do is some of these lovely Sean Petite stencils that I have these little flower masks in them, and I am going to use these little flower pieces to maybe stamp some flower bits in here. And it may look too messy, but I'm kind of feeling it, so let's just go for it. And basically, with when you use them like a stamp, you just paint that color on and then stamp it on there and just, you know, hit all. It's going to be messy. It's going to be abstracty. That's exactly what I personally am looking for. That was not enough paint. Let's try that again. And we could do these in colors, but I really like this page being kind of a complement to the page right next to it. Oh, it's exactly what I want. Let's use the bigger one here. These remind me of pansies, so they look real pretty colored with more than one color, but these are white flowers, so I'm just going to go for it in the white. And I just have a little piece of tape on the back, making myself a little handle. And you know, we could get some Yupo and just cut ourselves some little flower shapes and do ourselves a little stencil, tape on the back of it and make our own little flowers. So that's another idea. I just like that. I saw her do a video using these and thought it was just so lovely that sometimes when you see somebody with such a great creative idea, it's fun to support them. I used to be, when I was younger, one of those people that was like, I can make that. And now I'm like, I appreciate that you made that. Let me support you in your efforts. And maybe that's an age thing. Maybe that's just an appreciation for the people that provide beautiful things for us, that maybe we should appreciate the joy they bring us. And that's kind of where I float on that now. And then probably just go ahead and get a little bit of that paint off of there so that those are not so gooped up that they don't work for me later. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, I'm kind of feeling that. I could do some vines and stems if I wanted to really mimic this side over here, so that's something that we could do. Could do that with some Posca pen if I wanted to. I've got some brown markers over here, so that could be a thing if I really wanted to pull those in like a little vine. That's something that I could consider as I'm doing it. not a lot there, but that's okay. I could do some white dots. Okay, I'm feeling white dots. Let's get the white dots started. I need something I can white dot on top of. Here we go. Let's get this back over there. And get that started nicely. I think white dots just give it a really pretty whimsical kind of feel when you're painting stuff, and I love it. And just wherever I'm feeling inspired to put them. It's like it's spring before all the leaves come out, so I didn't add any leaves. So super abstract-y here on this side versus nice and elegant on this other side, but I love it. Okay, kind of feel like I'm there with this piece. So I'm going to peel the tape. I'm going to be real careful because this is that weird watercolor paper. I mean, sometimes it tears the tape and sometimes it doesn't, and it looks like today I'm lucky. And I wanted this one to look like a framed off piece of art next to this paper. That's why I did this rather than painting all the way to the edge. Oh, look at that. Okay, now I'm excited. Look, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, look how good that turned out. Okay. That's what I wanted. Some kind of abstract-y, a little implication of some florals. If you stand back, you can see the flowers a little better than if you're up close. That's exactly what I wanted. I like that the color is pulled from the palette next to it. And my very first layout in my lovely journal has now been completed. I had a book sitting underneath it to bring that page up, but now I'm so excited because the very first layout is painted and I can't wait to continue on in this book. Hope you enjoyed painting the first layout in my lovely Layered Legacy journal. This is the newest book workshop that I've got out right now, and it's a set of 3 books that we're making in this workshop. We've got the sewed cover, we've got one where we glue the cover, we've got another one that's very interesting where we do grommet and ribbon, and then just to give you a sneak peek at the 4th workshop, because again it's a fabric focused book workshop where we do some glued covers with some sewing, we do snippet rolls, we get really fun with the closures. It's a little bit smaller book, and I do different nicer watercolor papers in my books and some handmade papers and just some interesting bits to go along. It's a little bit more compact size, which is super fun, and I just wanted to give you a fun little look at what's coming next month, because I've got a 4th book workshop where we really heavily focus on getting creative, making some snippet rolls, and having some fun with some fabrics. So I hope you enjoyed this first layout we painted today. I hope you check out Layered Legacies, my newest book workshop. Also check out Artisanal Journals and Scrap to Treasure for some more fun options for bookmaking, and I'll see you guys in class.